because they just don't know it about the Sea Watch. And that is the floor plan. Now, bear with me, because I'm about to tell you the square footage is 888 square feet, and you're going to be like, well, that's tiny. And number-wise, it is, but Sea Watch, when it was designed, in my opinion, is probably the best laid out floor plan of all of the 2 bedrooms that maximize space, because it actually gives you a third room. My number one high rise for Ocean City, Maryland at the beginning of 2026, based on affordability and amenities package, definitely has to be the Sea Watch building located on 115th Street. And before we dive into affordability and amenities package, let's kind of discuss the building in general. It was built back in 1975. It's 21 stories tall, has 400 units in the building, so it's a big one. 380 of the units are going to be 2-bedroom. 20 of them are going to be 3-bedroom. There are 6 elevators, super important. There's a parking garage, which we'll discuss additionally in a minute. And with that, there is in-house maintenance, management, and security, part of your condo fee. First, let's talk about affordability and why that's important. Everybody's working on a budget, no matter if you're buying a primary or you're buying a beach home. So it's no different here at the beach. Problem here is we have all kinds of buyers. We have from all different areas, and a lot of buyers are going to be our first time buyers at the beach. And sometimes the price point for an oceanfront building is just not there. Sea Watch definitely checks that box for you. Entry level is around $495. It goes all the way up to $1.5 million or more, depending on the location in the building. Sea Watch is built like a V, and the point is your direct oceanfront units. And as you work off of that V, you work off into what we call indirect oceanfront views. So obviously you can imagine your $495 won't be a direct oceanfront, but it will be located in a direct oceanfront building, and it will get your foot in the door. And that's super important at the beach for maximizing. But with the affordability, there's also something else that people overlook because they just don't know it about the Sea Watch. And that is the floor plan. Now, bear with me, because I'm about to tell you the square footage is 888 square feet, and you're going to be like, well, that's tiny. And number-wise, it is, but Sea Watch, when it was designed, in my opinion, is probably the best laid out floor plan of all of the 2 bedrooms that maximize space, because it actually gives you a third room. And this third room I've seen used in multiple ways. I call it the flex room. It's been used as a 3rd bedroom. It's been used as a game room. It's been used as a 2nd living room. And so why is that important? Well, you're not going to get a 3-bedroom property in Ocean City on the Ocean Block for anything less than $600,000 at least. I mean, it's going to be probably more closer to $700,000, $800,000 in a oceanfront building. And so if you have constraints on your budget for a 3-bedroom, this might be a really good option. That's why I like the Sea Watch, because it definitely works as a 2-bedroom, but if you really would like to have a 3-bedroom, it kind of can hold you over until maybe your budget increases, or it might just be the perfect hybrid you've been looking for. So definitely don't overlook that. And with the floor plan, which is also a pretty cool feature, especially since it was built back in 1975, and they really weren't thinking storage the way we think of storage today. For the most of the units, they built a outside room with a door. I call it the laundry / storage room. Your washer dryer are out there, and you can actually store quite a few items that are for the beach. You also get that addition, which is nice that for if you're renting, so the renters don't have to track the stuff inside the unit. Affordability wise, you do cover all the bases. And if you're a high-end buyer looking for that direct oceanfront and you want a great amenities package, which we're going to discuss in a minute, that's also an ideal point for the Sea Watch, because you can get that 3-bedroom direct oceanfront with a gigantic balcony looking at the ocean. In Sea Watch, since it was built in 1975, parking was not really on their mind because of how the beach was just developing back then. There was a ton of space because it just wasn't overdeveloped like it is now. But they actually built a parking garage, which allows you as an owner to get 2 parking spaces, which is unusual for a 1975 built high rise. Typically you only get 1. If parking or the number of cars you're going to be using is definitely a concern, Sea Watch also checks off that box as well. Now, there's 6 elevators that are spread throughout the building. As you can imagine, it's shaped as an arrow. At the front of the building, there are 2 elevators, and then at each end, there's 2 more. When it was COVID, it allowed people to spread out and use multiple elevators instead of all packing into one area. Again, it's a super nice feature to have, super well thought out to keep everybody spread out, especially on those busy Saturdays on turnover. Sea Watch is highly sought out as a rental because of the amenities. And if you're looking for amenities, this is second to none. It has an indoor pool, has an outdoor pool, has a kiddie pool, has pickleball, has basketball, has tennis courts. I mean, the list goes on. It has a game room. It has a sauna. It has a children's playground outside as well. So, it kind of covers that. And then my favorite feature is it has a cinema inside, and the cinema actually plays newer movies. And it's not huge. It's not going to seat, 200 people, but it will seat 35, 40 people, and they do play on a regular basis. They are advertised when they're going to play. The amenities package for the cost of the unit, and then the cost of the condo fee, being $515 for a 2-bedroom, is super realistic, as great value. It checks off a ton of boxes for buyers. And what I did was I created a Sea Watch guide that I will put down in the comment section that you can click onto, and you can get into more detail on the building and more specifics. And then from there, you can click on to another link that will take you to currently what's for sale in the building. And of course, if you have questions, or you want to come see a property at the Sea Watch, or you're currently about to list a property and you have a couple questions moving forward, please reach out to give me a call, and I'm happy to help.